Last fall, my dad raised a glass in front of the entire family and said he couldn't wait to meet his first grandchild. The strange part was that I was standing 3 feet away holding my 7-month-old daughter in my arms. No one questioned it, no one corrected him, because for the past 7 months, my sister had quietly told everyone that I had walked away from the family. What they didn't know was that I had been collecting something she never expected. Doorbell videos of her stealing my mail, an anonymous email that cost me my promotion, fake business cards used to steal my catering clients, and the message she accidentally sent admitting my dad still believed I had disappeared. So, one Sunday night, I brought a laptop to dinner and decided to let the truth introduce itself. My name is Coraline Mercer, and this is the night my family finally learned what really happened. Chapter 1: The Dinner That Changed Everything. I pulled into my father, Ronan Mercer's driveway in Westport, Connecticut, on a cool, early fall afternoon in 2024. The maples along the street had just started turning red and gold. I sat in the car for a moment with the engine running, looking at Isla in the rearview mirror. She was 7 months old, bundled in a soft cream jacket with tiny wooden buttons, blinking slowly at the light. For a second, I told myself everything would feel normal once we walked into the yard. This was the first big family gathering since she had been born. I lifted her out of the car seat and rested her against my shoulder. She smelled like baby lotion and warm milk. My father's house looked exactly the same as always. White siding, neat hedges, the wide backyard where we used to have 4th of July cookouts when I was a kid. From the other side of the fence, I could hear music and laughter, glasses clinking, someone calling for more wine. The side gate creaked when I pushed it open. The backyard looked like something Lyra would post online. A long table with a white runner, pale flowers in small glass jars. String lights hung between the trees, even though it was still daylight. My younger sister, Lysandra Mercer, had always been good at creating scenes that looked effortless. People turned when I walked in. For the first few seconds, it felt normal. A couple cousins waved, someone said hi. My Aunt Denise walked over smiling. Then her eyes dropped to Isla. She leaned closer, looking curious. "Oh, sweetheart," she said gently. "Who's the little one?" I blinked at her. "This is Isla." Denise tilted her head, studying the baby again as if she expected another answer. "No, I mean, whose baby are you watching?" Her tone wasn't rude, just casual, like the question made perfect sense. For a moment, I thought she was joking. "Mine," I said quietly. Denise let out a soft laugh and patted my arm like I had made a strange little joke. "Well, she's adorable." Then she moved on. I stood there holding my daughter while people kept talking around me. A few glanced at Isla, but nobody said anything about her being my baby. Nobody asked how old she was or how I was doing. It felt strangely like standing in the wrong room of someone else's party. Across the yard, my father was standing near the grill with 2 of his friends. He looked healthy, relaxed, the way he always did when he was hosting something. For a second, I waited for him to notice me. He didn't. Lyra was near the long table talking to a group of women. Her hand rested lightly over the small curve of her stomach. She looked exactly like the version of herself she posted online. Polished hair, glowing skin, soft smile. When she spotted me, she walked over with that same perfect hostess expression. "You made it," she said. Her eyes flicked briefly to Isla. "Cute jacket." That was it. She kissed the air beside my cheek and turned slightly as if she was already moving on to the next conversation. For a moment, I wondered if maybe she was distracted. Maybe she assumed people already knew. I tried to relax. I stood near one of the trees, rocking Isla gently. She grabbed the edge of my cardigan and pressed her face into my shoulder. People kept moving around us. A neighbor said hello. A cousin nodded politely. Nobody asked about the baby. After a few minutes, my father tapped a spoon at a glass. Everyone gathered around the long table. Lyra moved naturally to the center, smiling at the crowd. My father lifted his wine glass. "I just want to say how proud I am of you, Lyra." He paused while people smiled. "You've always been the one who keeps the family together, always the one who shows up." He gestured toward her stomach, "And I cannot wait to finally become a grandfather, my first grandchild." I felt the air leave my lungs. My first grandchild? Isla shifted in my arms, looking around at the lights and faces. I stared at my father, waiting for him to correct himself. He didn't. Instead, he took a sip of wine and glanced toward me. "Coraline," he said with a small laugh, "when are you going to settle down and give me a grandchild?" The words landed slowly. For a second, my brain refused to process. I was standing 10 feet away holding his granddaughter. I took one step forward. "Dad, you already have one." The yard went quiet. A few people turned toward me. My father frowned slightly, confused. His eyes moved from my face down to the baby, as if he was trying to understand what I meant. Before he could say anything, Lyra laughed. "Here we go," she said lightly. She stepped closer to the group. "Coraline has always had a big imagination." People chuckled uncertainly. She looked directly at me, still smiling. "She's helping a friend out today, watching the baby." A couple people nodded in relief, like the moment had been explained. My chest tightened. "She's my daughter," I said, 7 months old. For a moment, nobody spoke.
Then Lyra shook her head gently as if she were humoring someone who didn't understand the situation. "Coraline," she said softly, "not today." My father's expression shifted into something familiar, the same tired look he used to give me when we were teenagers arguing about something he thought was pointless. "Don't start something," he said quietly. Isla squirmed and let out a small sound. I adjusted my grip on her. Lyra leaned closer to me, her voice low enough that the others couldn't hear. "You always do this," she murmured. "You always turn things into a scene." Then she straightened again and looked around at everyone. "Honestly," she said with a light laugh, "she's always been dramatic." The tension around us loosened immediately. Someone picked up their drink again. A cousin started talking about the weather. My father looked embarrassed but not curious, like he had already accepted Lyra's explanation. "Coraline," he said, "let's not make today about you." The words stung more than I expected. I looked around the yard. Nobody stepped forward. Nobody asked to hold the baby. Nobody asked a single question. They all watched Lyra. Aunt Denise moved closer and lowered her voice. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked gently. "You've been gone for a while. We were worried." "Gone?" The word echoed in my head. Lyra nodded sympathetically. "She just needed some space," she told Denise. I felt Isla's small fingers curl into my shirt. Something shifted inside me then. The anger was still there, but it was quieter now, colder. I realized this wasn't confusion. It was a story someone had been telling about me, and everyone here believed it. I didn't argue anymore. I simply nodded once, like I had been corrected. Then I turned and walked toward the gate. No one stopped me. Outside in the driveway, I strapped Isla back into her car seat. My hands were shaking. She blinked up at me, calm and trusting. I closed the door gently and leaned against the car for a moment, breathing in the cool evening air. Through the fence, I could still hear laughter from the yard, Lyra's voice rising above the others. When I got into the car and pulled away, I caught a glimpse of the backyard in the mirror. My father was smiling again, like nothing strange had happened. Isla fell asleep a few minutes later, her head tilted softly to one side. I kept replaying my father's toast in my mind, my first grandchild, and somewhere between the quiet streets and the fading sunlight, a thought finally settled into place. My family didn't just misunderstand my life, someone had carefully rewritten it. Chapter 2. The message no one was supposed to see. I was buying time. That was the thought that kept repeating in my head as I drove home from my father's house, with Isla asleep in the back seat and the early evening sky fading into gray. Buying time meant I did not have to process everything at once. It meant I could focus on the road, on the quiet hum of the engine, on the steady rhythm of my daughter breathing behind me. When I carried Isla into the house and laid her in her crib, the silence felt heavier than usual. I stood there for a long moment watching her sleep. Her tiny hand rested against her cheek, her eyelashes casting small shadows across her skin. Looking at her grounded me. Whatever had happened in that backyard, she was real. She existed whether anyone acknowledged her or not. I walked into the kitchen and turned on the faucet, letting the water run while I leaned against the counter. My mind kept replaying the same moment. My father lifting his glass and saying he could not wait to meet his first grandchild. He had not sounded uncertain when he said it. He had sounded completely sure. That certainty was what unsettled me most. If it had been a mistake, he would have corrected himself the moment I spoke. If it had been confusion, someone would have asked questions. Instead, the entire yard had relaxed when Lyra explained it away. Lyra had always been able to do that. She could control a room without raising her voice. She could shape a conversation with a smile and a calm tone that made everyone feel comfortable believing her. I opened my phone and scrolled through the message thread with my father. The conversation looked thin. A few photos of Isla, a message from the day she was born, a single thumbs up emoji after I sent him a picture of her in a tiny pumpkin outfit. I remembered that photo clearly. I had been standing in the nursery late at night, exhausted but proud, imagining him smiling when he saw it. Now I wondered what story he had already been hearing by then. The next morning, I sat at the dining table with a mug of coffee and my laptop open in front of me. Isla sat in her high chair beside me, happily banging a spoon against the tray. The steady tapping filled the quiet room. I closed my eyes and tried to remember when things had started to shift. It went back to early 2024, months before Isla was born. I had been working late at Hale and Rowe events in Hartford. Wedding season was approaching and our schedule was packed. I was in the supply closet counting table linens when I looked down at the pregnancy test in my hand and saw the faint pink lines. My hands started shaking so badly I had to sit down on a box of folded napkins. The first person I called was Lyra. When she answered, her voice was warm and curious. "You sound strange," she said. "What happened?" I told her I was pregnant. There was a small pause. Then she burst into excited laughter. "Coraline, that is amazing! Dad is going to lose his mind." I remember feeling relieved in that moment. For once, it felt like we were on the same side. Lyra began talking quickly, already planning how to share the news. She said she would tell Dad for me since she spoke to him more often. She said she could frame the conversation in a way that would make him happy. "You know how awkward you get with big announcements," she said. "Let me handle it." At the time, it sounded helpful. I was overwhelmed with work and nervous about the pregnancy. Letting Lyra handle the conversation felt easier. So I trusted her. Looking back now, that trust feels like the first mistake. The next weeks, Lyra checked in regularly, but her advice always carried a subtle direction. "Dad gets worried," she told me once. "Maybe keep the pregnancy quiet for a little while until you feel settled." Another time, she said, "People can be overwhelming. You might want privacy right now." Everything she said sounded reasonable. Pregnancy invites endless opinions and questions. I thought she was protecting me from that. As I sat at the dining table remembering those conversations, older memories surfaced too. Lyra had always been the one my father admired most. She was the organized one, the charming one, the one who volunteered for community events and built a growing audience online as a lifestyle influencer. My father loved the image she created. My path had always been quieter. I worked long hours in the event industry and eventually started my small catering business, Mercer Table Catering. It was steady work, but it never looked glamorous. Lyra created pictures. I created schedules. Months later, I finally told my father directly about the pregnancy. The conversation was short. He sounded distracted. He said Lyra had mentioned I was going through something and asked if I was doing all right. I told him clearly that I was pregnant and expecting a baby in the spring. He congratulated me, but his tone was calm, almost distant. The call ended quickly. After Isla was born, I kept trying to include him in our lives. I sent photos from the hospital. I texted when we brought her home. I shared updates when she learned to roll over. Most of his responses were brief or non-existent. When I asked Lyra about it, she always had an explanation. "Dad thinks you need space," she would say. "He does not want to overwhelm you." Other times, she told me he assumed I was busy with the baby. At the time, I was too exhausted to question it deeply. New motherhood turns time into a blur. Days disappear between feedings and laundry and trying to keep work afloat. Still, small things began to feel strange. I noticed photos online of family dinners I hadn't heard about. My cousins sitting around my father's backyard table, Lyra always in the center of the frame. When I asked Lyra about those dinners, she assumed I was too busy. "You never answer your phone anymore," she told me once. Sometimes she was right. Sometimes I missed calls because Isla was crying or because I had fallen asleep in the middle of the afternoon. So I believed her. That belief started to crack the night after the party. I searched my phone for the Mercer family group chat. The thread had existed for years, full of birthday reminders and holiday plans. When I typed the name into my messages, nothing appeared. I tried again with different words. Still nothing. My stomach tightened. Daniel was in the living room rocking Isla when I walked in. "Can you check something for me?" I said. He unlocked his phone and scrolled through his messages. "Do you have the Mercer family group chat?" I asked. He shook his head. "I thought that was just your side of the family," he said. I stared down at my own phone. "I used to be in it," I said quietly. A few days later, the truth appeared by accident. One of my cousins sent me a screenshot that was meant for Lyra. She probably assumed I was still part of the conversation. The image showed the family group chat from earlier that week, messages about planning dinner, photos from Lyra's ultrasound appointment, my father replying with enthusiastic emojis I had never received. Then I saw Lyra's message. She told everyone I had been going through a difficult time and asked for space. She asked not to overwhelm me if I didn't respond. Below her message came replies. "Of course. Poor Coraline. Tell her we love her. We will see her when she is ready." I stared at the screen for a long time. Lyra had not simply ignored my life, she had rewritten it. She had turned my absence into a choice, my silence into a request for distance. Daniel read the screenshot over my shoulder. "I thought they stopped caring," I said quietly. He shook his head. "They care, they just believe the person telling the story." For months, my entire family had been hearing about me through Lyra's voice, not because they wanted to exclude me, because she had made my disappearance sound reasonable. She had made my motherhood invisible. And if she could erase my daughter with a few messages and a calm smile, then I had to wonder how much farther she had gone to make that lie feel real. Chapter 3. The Secret Hidden in Plain Sight. The next few days felt like living inside a house where every object had shifted slightly out of place. Nothing looked different at first glance, but everything felt wrong. I kept seeing Lyra's message in that group chat, the calm way she had framed my life for everyone else. Give her space. She asked for this. Do not overwhelm her. It made my family feel kind for staying away. Once you see a lie like that clearly, you start wondering what else it has been holding together. Daniel came home one evening and found me at the kitchen table with my laptop open and a yellow legal pad covered in dates. "You have that look," he said. "What look?" "The one where you stop sleeping until something makes sense." I rubbed my forehead. If she could erase Isla with a few messages, what else did she touch? Daniel sat across from me without hesitation. "Then we find out," he said. We started with the obvious places, my email accounts, my messages, anything Lyra could have used to speak for me. But the first thing that surfaced was something I had already blamed on myself, the promotion. In late 2023, I had been up for a senior coordinator role at Hale & Rowe Events in Hartford. It was not glamorous, but it mattered. Better pay, better hours, and finally a step forward after years of proving I could handle high-pressure events. Nathan Cole, my manager, had hinted at it for months. He told me my client feedback was excellent and that the company needed someone reliable. Then, 2 weeks before the decision, he called me into his office. "Coraline, we need to talk," he said. His voice had that careful tone people use when they are about to disappoint you. "There are concerns about your long-term availability," he explained. I frowned. "Availability for what?" "For the role," he said slowly. "There's a sense you may be stepping away soon." My heart dropped. I have never said that. Nathan looked uncomfortable. The message we received suggested otherwise. I walked out of that meeting furious and confused. I sent follow-up emails explaining my commitment. 2 days later, the promotion went to someone else. At the time, I told myself it was corporate politics. Someone else wanted the job. But now, the memory felt different. Daniel leaned closer to my laptop. "You still have access to your old work email?" he asked. "I think so." "Then we check." He searched through old folders until something in the junk mail section caught his attention. "Coraline!" He turned the screen toward me. An email sat there, addressed to Nathan Cole. The sender address was anonymous. The subject line was simple: concern regarding Coraline Mercer. The message claimed I was planning to leave after having a baby. It said I had been discussing other opportunities and might abandon my responsibilities soon. I read the email twice before the meaning sank in. "Daniel," I whispered, "when that email was sent, the only person who knew I was pregnant was Lyra." Daniel did not answer right away. He did not need to. The silence said enough. I closed the laptop slowly. My chest felt tight. That was when another memory pushed forward. Mercer Table Catering. My small catering business had been steady for years. Not huge, but dependable. Birthdays, corporate lunches, small weddings. After Isla was born, things started falling apart. Clients canceled unexpectedly, a corporate order disappeared. One private event told me they had already hired me through another conversation. At the time, I thought it was stress and bad timing. Now I wasn't so sure. I picked up my phone and called a client who had always been straightforward with me. Tessa Rowan owned a restaurant nearby and occasionally hired me for private events. She answered quickly. "Coraline, everything okay?" "I need to ask you something," I said. There was a pause. "Do you remember telling me someone came to discuss catering with you earlier this summer?" "Yeah," she said slowly. "That was weird." My stomach tightened. What did she look like? Tessa described her without hesitation. Dark hair, perfect makeup, calm voice, expensive-looking dress. It sounded exactly like Lyra. "She said she was you," she added. My hand tightened around the phone. She had business cards with your name on them. Same menu, same logo. Do you still have one of the cards? I think so. Why? Can you send me a picture? A moment later, the image arrived. The card said Mercer Table Catering. My name was printed beneath it. My logo was there. But the phone number was slightly different. One digit changed. Daniel leaned over my laptop. That number would redirect calls somewhere else, he said quietly. I stared at the screen. Lyra had not only rewritten my story with my family, she had been impersonating me. Daniel sat back and ran his hair through his hair. We need to check the camera. When Isla was born, we installed a doorbell camera. I wanted something simple to make the house feel more safer. Daniel pulled up the app and began scrolling through old recordings. Most clips were harmless. Delivery drivers, neighbors walking dogs. Then one clip made him pause. Coraline. I stepped closer. On the screen, Lyra stood on our front porch. She looked relaxed, like she had every right to be there. She didn't ring the bell. She glanced toward the street and reached into the mailbox. She slipped a handful of envelopes into her purse. My skin went cold. That cannot be real, I said. Daniel opened another recording from a different week. Lyra again. Same movement, same casual confidence. She's been taking your mail, he said quietly. My stomach twisted. We need another angle. Our camera faced the door, not the mailbox directly, but I knew who had a better view. Mrs. Waverly Grant lived next door. She was 71 and proud of the security cameras she installed around her property. Daniel and I walked over that evening with Isla strapped to his chest. Mrs. Grant opened the door before we even knocked. I saw you come over, she said. What's going on? I hesitated before speaking. I think someone has been taking my mail. Mrs. Grant frowned. Oh, honey, I have footage of that. The words made my knees weak. She led us inside and pulled up recordings from her camera. The screen showed my driveway and mailbox clearly. Lyra appeared again and again, opening the mailbox, looking over her shoulder, sliding envelopes into her purse. Weeks of footage. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Daniel spoke quietly beside me. That's mail theft. Mrs. Grant clicked another clip. This one is clearer. Lyra removed a thick envelope and examined it before hiding it in her bag. My mind raced through everything that could have been inside those envelopes. Bills, contracts, client checks, invitations, anything that might expose her story. When we returned home, Daniel opened his laptop again. If she controlled email, mail, and messages, then she controlled the entire narrative. He searched through old chat threads I hadn't opened in years. Then he stopped. Coraline. I walked over. On the screen was a message Lyra had sent months earlier into the wrong thread. The words were short and casual. Dad still thinks Coraline walked away. Better to keep it that way. I felt the room tilt. For months, she had been telling my family I disappeared. She had been stealing my mail, impersonating my business, sending emails to sabotage my job. Daniel closed the laptop slowly. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, I looked toward the hallway where Isla was sleeping. A calm settled over me. Not peace, something sharper. She did not just lie, I said quietly. Daniel nodded. No, he said. She managed the whole story. I stared at the dark window above the sink, my reflection faint against the glass. Lyra had been shaping my life behind the scenes for months, and for the first time since that night in my father's backyard, I stopped feeling confused. I started feeling certain.
Chapter 4. The Truth They Could Not Deny. For several weeks after we discovered the videos and messages, I moved through my days quietly, gathering everything that could not be argued away. I fed Isla, answered catering emails, and stacked evidence like careful bricks in the background of my life. I had no interest in another private argument with Lyra, where she smiled and told everyone I was being dramatic. If my family was going to understand the truth, they needed to see it with their own eyes. One night, Daniel watched me from the other side of the dining table as I organized folders on my laptop. "You look like you are building a court case," he said. "I am building reality," I replied. Daniel nodded. "Then we should make sure it is solid." He called his cousin Hugo Cortez, a civil attorney in Stamford. I sat beside him while he explained everything: mail theft, fake business cards, the anonymous email that cost me my promotion. Hugo listened quietly before answering. "If someone is taking mail that is addressed to you, that can violate federal law," he said. "But before you turn this into a legal war, you should consider confronting the family first." "Why?" I asked. "Because once lawyers and police get involved, relationships usually never recover," Hugo said. "Sometimes the strongest move is to show the truth calmly with witnesses." Daniel glanced at me. "Witnesses meaning the whole family?" "Exactly," Hugo said. "Document everything. Videos, emails, screenshots. Lay it out clearly. Let them see the pattern." When the call ended, the plan was obvious. 2 days later, I texted my father, "Can we have dinner this weekend? I need to talk about something important." His response came quickly. "Sunday night, come early." No mention of Isla, no questions, just a time. Sunday arrived with light rain that made the road to Westport shine under the streetlights. Daniel packed the laptop into a small bag while I buckled Isla into her seat. "You sure about bringing her?" he asked gently. "Yes," I said. "She is the reason we are doing this." When we arrived, the house looked exactly the way it always had. Warm lights glowing through the windows, the smell of dinner drifting out the front door. For a moment, my body almost relaxed from habit. Then I heard Lyra's voice from inside the living room. Of course, she was there. My father, Ronan, opened the door and looked surprised to see Daniel. "Oh," he said. "Daniel, I did not know you were coming." "Coraline asked me to," Daniel answered calmly. Ronan's eyes briefly landed on Isla, then moved away like the sight made him uncomfortable. Lyra stepped into the hallway behind him with a sparkling water in her hand and her usual polished smile. "There you are. What is this, a family intervention?" I ignored the comment and walked straight to the dining table where I placed the laptop bag. Ronan frowned. "Let us eat first." "No," I said quietly. "This needs to happen now." The room went still. Lyra laughed lightly. "See, Dad? Drama." I opened the laptop and turned the screen so it faced the table. "I am not here to argue," I said. "I just want you to watch something." Ronan slowly sat down. Lyra took the chair beside him. I clicked the first file. The screen showed my mailbox from Mrs. Waverly Grant's security camera. The timestamp was clear. Lyra appeared on the screen, walked to the mailbox, opened it, and slipped envelopes into her purse. The smile disappeared from her face. Ronan leaned closer. "What is that?" he asked. "Another clip," I said. The second video showed the same thing on a different day. Lyra shook her head quickly. "That is not what it looks like." Daniel spoke calmly. "Then explain why you were taking mail without knocking." Lyra's voice rose slightly. "Coraline asked me to. She was overwhelmed." I moved to the next file. This is the email that cost me my promotion. The anonymous message filled the screen. It claimed I planned to leave work after having a baby. Ronan read the message slowly. "When was this sent?" he asked. "Late 2023, before anyone except Lyra knew I was pregnant." Lyra turned toward me immediately. "You cannot seriously be blaming me for that." Daniel leaned forward slightly. "The email mentions pregnancy. Coraline told only one person at that time." Ronan's expression shifted, uncertainty replacing irritation. I opened the next image, the family group chat screenshot. Lyra's message filled the screen. Coraline's been going through a lot. She asked for space. Please do not overwhelm her. Ronan stared at it. You told everyone this? He asked. Lyra lifted her chin. Because it was true. She disappears whenever she's stressed. You removed me from the group chat, I said calmly. Lyra shrugged. You needed space. Daniel spoke quietly. You spoke as if she was her. Lyra rolled her eyes. You two are unbelievable. I opened the next message, the one Lyra had sent to the wrong conversation. Dad still thinks Coraline walked away. Better to keep it that way. The room went silent. Ronan read the line twice. Lyra's voice came quickly now. That message was out of context. I looked at her. Then tell us the context. Her eyes flashed with anger. You have always been jealous of me. You cannot stand that I actually hold this family together. Ronan's voice cut through sharply. Enough. Lyra froze. I opened the next document, the photo of the Mercer Table catering business card Tessa had sent me. My business started losing contracts because someone was impersonating me. Ronan looked confused. Lyra did not speak. I clicked the final file. A receipt from a jewelry store in Stamford. Seller name, Lyra Mercer. Item description, Margaret Mercer Estate Jewelry. Ronan stood up abruptly. What did you do? He said quietly. Lyra pushed back her chair. This is insane. You are all attacking me. Ronan did not respond immediately. At that moment, Isla made a soft sound from Daniel's arms. Ronan looked at her again, this time without hesitation. Can I hold her? He asked quietly. Daniel looked at me. I nodded. Ronan lifted Isla carefully into his arms. She blinked up at him, then rested her head against his chest, as if she had always belonged there. His hands trembled slightly. I've missed so much, he whispered. Lyra scoffed softly, but the confidence in her voice was gone. Ronan continued looking at Isla, his expression heavy. I believed the wrong story, he said slowly. I felt tears press against my eyes, but kept my voice steady. I tried to reach you. I sent photos. I called. Ronan swallowed. I thought you wanted distance. Lyra's voice cracked with frustration. Dad, you cannot seriously be falling for this. But Ronan did not look at her. He kept looking at the child in his arms. For the first time that night, Lyra looked unsure, and I realized something important. For months, she had relied on everyone choosing comfort instead of asking questions. Tonight, that comfort had disappeared.
Chapter 5. What happened after the truth? Nothing felt comfortable after that night. The house in Westport looked the same as always. The same family photos in the hallway, the same warm kitchen lights, the same smell of dinner drifting through the rooms. But something had shifted permanently. The story Lyra had been controlling for months had cracked in front of everyone, and once that happens, there's no easy way to pretend it never did. Ronan stood in the dining room holding Isla for a long time. He did not rush to hand her back the way nervous people often do with babies. He rocked gently, staring down at her face like he was trying to memorize every detail he had missed. Isla reached up and grabbed the front of his shirt. That small movement seemed to break something inside him. Lyra stayed near the table, arms crossed tightly. Her voice was sharp. You are all acting like I committed some kind of crime, she said. I was trying to keep this family together. Daniel's voice remained calm. You took Coraline's mail. You impersonated her business. You told people she asked to disappear. Lyra turned toward him immediately. You have no idea what it takes to manage this family, she snapped. If I did not step in, everything would fall apart. Ronan finally looked at her. Manage, he said slowly. That is what you call this? The word hung in the air. Then Ronan looked back at me. How long has this been happening? He asked. Most of this year, I said quietly.
and the email goes back to late 2023. Lyra stepped forward, her voice rising. She is twisting everything. She has always been jealous of me. Ronan cut her off. Enough. The room fell silent. A few minutes later, Daniel lifted Isla back into the carrier, and we prepared to leave. Ronan followed us to the door. He looked uncomfortable, almost uncertain. "I need time to process this," he said, "but I want to fix it." I believed that he meant it. The drive home was quiet. Rain tapped lightly against the windshield. Daniel kept one hand on the wheel and the other resting on my knee. "They saw it," he said. "They saw enough," I replied. The next few weeks were not dramatic. They were awkward, slow, and uncomfortable. Real change rarely happens in a single moment. Ronan began calling. The first time he called, he hung up before I could answer. The second time, he left a voicemail. "Coraline, it is your dad. I would like to come see the baby if that is okay." When he finally came to my house, he stood in the doorway like someone unsure if he was welcome. He brought a stuffed rabbit for Isla and a grocery bag with bananas and diapers. "I did not know what to bring," he admitted. "You did not have to bring anything," I said. "I wanted to," he replied. The visit felt stiff at first. He held Isla carefully, repeating her name under his breath, as if saying it could recover the months he had missed. At one point, he looked up. "Did you really send me pictures?" he asked. I handed him my phone. The screen showed the messages I had sent. Photos from the hospital, photos from the nursery, small updates about her milestones. Ronan stared at them for a long time. "I thought you stopped reaching out," he said quietly. "I never stopped," I answered. After that, his visits became more regular, once a week at first, then sometimes twice. He asked questions about Isla, about her sleep schedule, about the foods she liked. He asked about my catering business in a way that suggested he was finally trying to understand my life instead of assuming he already knew it. Our conversations were still careful, but they were honest. Lyra, however, did not accept the situation quietly. She sent me long messages insisting she had only been trying to protect the family. She claimed I had misunderstood everything. When I did not respond, she sent messages to Daniel. When he ignored them, she began posting vague comments online about betrayal. For a short time, I wondered if people would eventually believe her again. It would have been easier for everyone. But reality has a way of catching up. One afternoon, Trevor Hale, Lyra's husband, called Daniel. Daniel placed the call on speaker while I sat at the table with Isla playing beside me. "Is it true about the mail and everything else?" Trevor asked carefully. "We have footage," Daniel answered simply. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "I found the credit cards," Trevor finally said. "More than $60,000 in debt." I closed my eyes for a moment. Trevor continued. "She said it was for maintaining her image online. She said it was necessary." Daniel's voice stayed neutral. "And now?" "I don't know who she is anymore," Trevor replied quietly. Not long after that, I began noticing changes online. Brands that once featured Lyra quietly stopped working with her. A local boutique removed her promotional posts. No one announced anything publicly, but the silence spoke loudly enough. Meanwhile, my own business slowly recovered. Tessa Rowan called again and booked me for another event. "I should have trusted you," she said. "It's okay," I told her. "You were misled." Word travels quickly in small communities. People began reaching out again. Orders returned, weekends filled with catering work the way they used to. Hugo helped me take one final step. He prepared a formal legal notice warning Lyra not to interfere with my mail, business, or communication again. He also explained how to file a report with the Postal Service if it continued. The letter did not threaten a lawsuit, it simply drew a boundary. When Ronan heard about it, he did not argue. "That's fair," he said quietly. The most difficult conversation happened a few weeks later, when Ronan sat at my kitchen table while I prepared food for an event. He watched me for a long time before speaking. "I believed the wrong daughter," he said. I stopped cutting vegetables. "I can't pretend those months didn't happen," I replied. "I know, but I want the chance to be her grandfather now, the right way." I studied his face. "Then you show up," I said, "and you ask me directly, not Lyra." He nodded. "I will." Life did not magically become perfect after that. Families don't heal that way. But something important had shifted. A few weeks later, we had a quiet dinner at my house. Nothing fancy, just pasta, salad, and Isla sitting in her high chair banging a spoon against the tray. Ronan sat beside her, trying to feed her small bites of pasta. Isla grabbed his finger and refused to let go. He laughed. "She's stubborn," he said. "She's a Mercer," I replied. When dinner ended and Ronan left, I stood in the doorway watching his car disappear down the street. For months, I had carried the weight of being misunderstood. Now the truth had finally been seen. Sometimes the truth doesn't need to be shouted. It only needs to be visible. If you've ever felt misunderstood by the people who were supposed to know you best, I would love to hear your story in the comments. And if you want more stories about quiet strength and truth finally coming to light, stay here with us.